Welcome back everyone, I'm Apollo Mallow and today we have our pet tank Flak. That's really hard to say. So I got the idea for this build by a video from Takedown that basically showed off that these two action skill augments in combination with 3-shot fadeaway is actually pretty good. And I was struggling to do the Guardian Takedown with my Gamma Burst Flak just because the Gamma Burst Anointment isn't too great in the Guardian Takedown because there's a lot of armoured enemies, and obviously radiation's a bit bad against those. So we came up with this. So I tried something quite similar to the build I saw in the video, and I felt like my pet was dying a little bit too much. So I thought, what can I do to keep my pet alive? So I tried using a friend bot class mod, and it was okay, but it wasn't doing as great as I would have hoped. So then we decided to ditch the bottom of the green tree, weirdly, because the power inside it's an amazing skill, and we took Who Rescued Who, and to make up for the loss of damage we also took Frenzy and Heat Bites. So basically how this works is, we'll go through some gameplay. We're using the guns don't really matter on the build as long as you've got action skill end guns and shields and grenade, it's fine. Recursion works amazing. Anything that chains for the Guardian Takedown works really well. So basically how it works, let's spawn some enemies. Come on. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to fadeaway. Obviously, we shouldn't really get targeted whilst we're in fadeaway. I am using the wrong element. Factor radiation. And now you'll notice I can just stand still here and we don't get attacked for about 6 seconds. We got hit there by the way in from my pet. Would tend to not get attacked, but we shouldn't anyway. We've also got pretty insane health regen whilst the action skills on cooldown because of one of the action skill augments as well. And yeah, it just works. It's a super tanky build. So yeah, just everything's dying. It's not quite as fast to clear as say like Ties of Bind Mora because you know that's a Mora, but oh well, it's a flat kill and I was really struggling to do the Guardian Takedown until I cleared it last night with this build. So, proper overview of the skill tree, now we've had a little bit of gameplay. Pretty standard red tree, you can do whatever you want really, as long as you take Mega 4. I avoid 2-Fang, maybe I should take it because I'm using the recursion quite a lot, but I was using the Skull Masher a fair bit, as well as the Reflux. I tried the Anarchy, but in the Guardian Takedown it's a little bit risky just with how much the enemies jump around and the low gravity and stuff. It's a bit shaky. Great damage though. We get the recursion for clearing mobs, so you could actually take 2-Fang if you wanted, but I tend to go for Hunter's Eye. Leave no trace, head count, just great skills, you know, it's standard red tree, take Mega 4, do whatever you want there. Then we'll go over the green tree. The skills you take are sort of less important as long as we've just got the action skill augments. So again, you can kind of just do what you want, but I would recommend going for Furious Attack just because it's a really good boost to your damage. 1 point in all my BFFs just to share some health regen with the pet. He doesn't really need it, but it's 1 point. Self-repairing system's pretty good, but if you're finding you don't really need it, you could go for Eager to Impress just in case you get the head count glitch, and that'll help you with your cooldown. I might actually try this. I've not tried it yet, but the build's still in progress, but I thought I'd get this out yet because I've not really seen too much anything like this, honestly, other than that video I saw. Turn, tail and run. Obviously just stand still when you're dealing your damage. You get a lot more damage. It's pretty good. And I really like the Fast and the Furious just for the movement speed, really, but the gun damage is also nice. That's nice when you're above half health. So where the build really comes together is when we're sort of at the blue tree. We'll take Persistence Hunter. This will make it so that our fadeaway lasts for, I've not worked it out, it's about 22 seconds. It's a very long time. Ferocity, it doesn't really matter where you put these 2 points, you just need to move down the tree, but I think Ferocity's ever so slightly better than Go for the Eyes, but they're both pretty shit. I would put 5 in Persistence Hunter if I could. He bites, just so we can activate Frenzy easier. If you're using a class mod all the time that's got heat bites on it, you don't need the point there, but I'm switching class mods a fair bit, so I put it in just in case, because you can see at the minute I don't have a point from a class mod in there. Who Rescued Who? You could probably get away with just 1 point in this, but my pet was dying a little bit when I only had 1 point and I put 2 in it. basically the only time the pet ever dies is when you're fighting a huge boss and he just goes and sits underneath them. You can't really keep him alive then, but it's fine. Most bosses like that, you don't really need the pet taunt anyway. It's more for mobbing the pet taunt. And finally, we take Frenzy, just because it's a really good boost for damage, and it more than makes up for the loss from the power inside. In fact, I think our damage is actually higher from Frenzy than the power inside, because most of the time when we're activating power inside, we weren't at max health, so we're only getting the 25% instead of the 50%. So yeah, that's the skill trees. Basically, like I said, the only guns you need are, well, a recursion is really good for mobbing. A recursion, a reflux, or a brainstormer. An action skill and anointment would be really nice, but I don't have one on a ×2 recursion. So I was just running this really terrible Nova one. It's basically an anointed, it doesn't really do anything, but if I could get an X2 Mags element on there, that would be perfect. I was using the Skull Masher for boss damage, as well as the Backburner. Armor phases I was using the Skull Masher, because it's got the corrosive next to Mags, but obviously if you don't have one of those, then just make do what you will. But the Skull Masher is actually really good at Mayhem 10 now. I'll make it a new guide video, because it drops from Ice now, but yeah, so action skill and anointments on element anointments on your shield and grenade as well. I've been swapping between the Hex and the Piss. The Hex is just nice to help keep up the Pearl's damage, but the Piss is also really nice just to debuff enemies. I've been more going just for the action skill and anointment than the actual grenade itself, so either of those do, to any grenade you like. Hunter Seeker could work too. And then again, shield, it's up to you really, as long as it's got an action skill and anointment. I would recommend the Recharger, just because it's really good, and I've actually got a pretty insane roll on a Recharger over here, but it doesn't have the right, well, for what I was doing, I didn't have the right anointment, but it's pretty good now. 40% capacity on that is insane. But again, Stopgap would be pretty nice, Transform would be pretty nice, just anything you like really. Old God could work too for damage, I guess, but it's more of a defensive build. We've got enough damage. So that's pretty much the build. Class mods, yeah. So for bossing, obviously we want Bounty Hunter, but I've been keeping this on for mobbing a fair bit as well, just because it's got the 2 points in Frenzy, which is really nice. If your pet does somehow die, because if you're not doing damage, because the pet gets healed through our damage, swap to a friend. Swap to a friend bot. I've got one with 5 in Barbaric Eop. That's insanely rare. But yeah, I don't tend to ever really need this. I think I only used it once when I was mobbing, in about the day and a bit I've been using this build now. Another Bounty Hunter, Deadeye could kind of work, but not really. Red Fang, obviously these are just from the other builds. Rackback doesn't work. Cosmic Stalker is pretty nice when you're mobbing as well. Yeah, if I didn't have a +2 Frenzy, I would probably be using the Stalker most of the time. Stackbot can also work a little bit. It's decent if you're using the Skull Masher on a boss, but honestly, I would go against it. I was only really using this one because it has weapon damage, fire rate, and cooldown on it, so it was a pretty nice roll. But yeah, Bounty Hunter and Stalker are probably your best bet. So if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy. Oh yeah, also forgot to mention, I'm using the EMP5 just for the movement speed, because who doesn't love movement speed? And oh my god, I am so bad at videos. Pet, I go for Spider and Scorcher, because elemental damage is worth more than the damage and gun damage on Flak. If you're using elemental weapons anyway, so on the Backburner that's way better, and because we use a lot of elemental weapons and stuff, I go for the Scorcher, plus the health regen also gives a bit of health regen to a pet and just helps everyone stay alive a little bit. This build should also work in co-op as well. I've not used it in co-op, but all my BFFs is going to help heal your teammates and stuff as well. So yeah, I think that is everything. Wasn't any real gameplay in here, honestly. Oh, hello, Monty, what a good boy. But yeah, I was really struggling to clear the Guardian takedown, and I did this last night. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording because I wasn't really expecting to clear it, honestly, but we pulled it off. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you all very much for watching. We stream Borderlands 3 most days, sometimes Borderlands 2, over at Apollo Malo 14 on Twitch, and that is everything. So thanks very much for watching, and have a good day.